Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Erica Martin with Weather Co-op, where weather meets community. We are back updating you on mountain fire in Ventura County and SOMIS in Ventura County. So we definitely have some major updates for you. We just had an extensive live a few minutes ago. I promised I'd be back by 8 o'clock, and I am back. It's 8:15, but you know what? Certainly got back as soon as possible. We have a lot to go over here. So I actually wanted to include the evacuation centers on the map that you're looking at right here, including the large animal evacuation center and the small animal evacuation center here. Okay. So I do hope you all are absolutely calling your friends and family, loved ones, colleagues, anybody that might be in this area. Cal Fire is doing a great update here every about hour or so. But I can tell you that this is growing rapidly. It's pretty intense. We're also going to show you the smoke that we're getting at the surface and the vertical profile of the smoke. So one of the things here at Weather Co-op that we attempt to do, and I know I am committed to it. I'm committed to showing you how weather impacts every area of your life and how we see things differently when it comes to weather. I want you guys to really see and understand why the weather is so important in so many capacities. Okay. So let's get started. You can see here in that green box, that blue green box there, that's where I have all of the evacuation centers listed there, the shelters for the animals, for large animals and small animals. Okay, so let's get started. Again, this approximately began at 8:51 a.m. local time, PST. Now, I do want to talk about a couple of items that I think are very important here. We're dealing with the Santa Ana winds. Many of you, of course, in this area are familiar with that. But also, I used to forecast in the Central Coast at KCOY. Hi, guys. And whenever I did, we talk about those sundowners. So you all know that when we're talking about wind coming down the mountain slope or squeezing through a canyon, we are dealing with compressional heating. And what's interesting about compressional heating, generally speaking, what we want to think about there about the compressional heating factor is that it does increase the temperature of the molecules. So the molecules of the air mass get pressed together, they increase the friction, which in return increases the temperature. I say all that to say that as we see these winds that are coming together or converging, that's the proper term you want to use here. They're converging and they're squeezing through the canyon. This is what's happening. They're accelerating and they're in fact warming up. So now you're not just dealing with regular winds, you're dealing with hotter winds as they come down and squeeze through the canyon. This is why compressional heating is so dangerous. That's why oftentimes in the summer we'll talk about those sundowners. So please be advised, we have your evacuation shelters listed right here. Let's talk about everybody that's being impacted. We have evacuation orders and we also have evacuation warnings. I will start with your evacuation warning. Zone 8, an area extending south of South Mountain Road, east of Briggs Road, and west of 12th Street and Bigsby Road. Very important. Now we have evacuation orders for Zone 1, north of SOMIS, areas north of East Los Angeles Avenue, Highway 118, west of Balcom Canyon Road, and east of La Vista Avenue. Zone 2, Satacoy Country Club, east of Los Angeles Avenue, Highway 118, and south of the Santa Clara River and north of Beardsley Road. Zone 3, areas south of Highway 118, west of North Lewis Road. Zone 4, west of Camarillo, north of Las Posas Road, south and east of Central Avenue. Zone 6, the area extended south of Santa Clara River, east of Los Angeles Avenue. Zone 7, the area north of Highway 101 and southeast of Beardsley Avenue and south of Central Avenue. And finally, Zone 9, the areas east of Santa Paula Community Golf Course, north along Santa Clara River. You guys, if you know anybody in these areas, I need you to make sure you're keeping everybody alert and absolutely in the know. Let's talk about what's happening here. So earlier I did a couple of things. What you're seeing here right above me, if you're looking at that graphic there, I overlaid the watches, warnings, and all of the alerts issued by the National Weather Service. I'm now going to remove those because what I want to show you here is our contour for the actual fire weather. Remember, we're over 14 1,000 acres burned so far. And I got to tell you, in just 1 hour, I started putting this together about 6 p.m. In 1 hour, we went from 10,000 to over 14,000. Look at the expansiveness. And why? Because of the wind. I want you all to understand too that the wind, we're looking at surface wind. We're not even looking at wind higher up at elevation. We're just looking at the surface wind. I am going to show you the higher winds in just one moment, but I also want to show you something here. Let's take a look at our surface smoke. So this is who's getting impacted. I talked about this earlier. We had Point Hueneme, Channel Island Beach, Point Mugu, Oxnard, El Rio, let's see, Camarillo, Saticoy, all of these people. I would say anybody in this area, if you are not being asked to evacuate, please be sure you let your friends and family know this is the air quality you have in that area. Okay, this should be alarming. Then I removed this earlier and I actually showed you all the wind in, or the smoke profile in the vertical. And the reason I did that was why? Because I went back to our wind particles and I said to you guys, all right, this is the surface wind. Look at how strong they are. They're ranging between 20 to 40 miles per hour. We're not even talking about gusts. We're just talking about sustained wind speeds. Then we go higher up in the atmosphere. We're just going to go to 850 millibars, which is about 3 to 5,000 feet, okay? Closer to 5,000 feet. Look what happens. Look at how much stronger these winds get. Do you see this? And they have a northeast push there. So, and look what's happening with the smoke. Let me extend this. Do you see what's happening here with the smoke as it continues to to make its way over the water? Do you see everybody that's getting impacted here? This is a problem right now. So now we have the Channel Islands that are getting impacted by this poor air quality due to the wind profile. We're only at 850 millibars. Again, that's between 3 to 5,000 feet, closer to 5,000 feet, generally speaking. And look what's happening here. You're getting that northeasterly push. It's more of an east-northeasterly push, which then tells me, note to self, there is an area of high pressure sitting over the Great Basin. But I also see a problem here where it looks like we have an elongated area of low pressure or a trough at the surface. We're going to go back to our surface map here. Now did you see how the winds changed? That's because we're at the surface. We're just at 10 meters, okay? Do you see how we're seeing a little bit of this area here? Do you see this area right here? Okay, guys, I want you to look at this right here. This is our elongated area of low pressure, okay? That is the trough. Look at the circulation. It's counterclockwise. And then if we go wider here, we see here that over the Great Basin, we have an area of high pressure. So that area of high pressure allows the winds to come down the mountain and then squeeze through those canyons, accelerate, compress, and heat up. Okay, it's what we refer to as compressional heating. And once again, we talked about the warming of the air by compressing or squeezing it. Molecules of air mass get pressed together, increasing the friction, which in return increases the temperature. So, with that said, we talked about who was being impacted as far as required to please evacuate. The warnings: Zone 8, an area extending south of South Mountain Road, east of Briggs Road, and west of 12th Street and Bigsby Road. So important. And then I wanted to include the evacuation shelters right on your screen. Please get a screenshot, take a picture, make sure that you share this with everybody you know. This is serious. I just don't see how tonight is going to be helpful at all for our heroes who are out there, the firefighters, emergency management, our rescue teams. I just don't see how the winds tonight are going to help at all. I do think this is going to be a problem for the next several hours, and I don't think it's going to subside until those winds subside. And if I take a quick look at one of our model runs, I think they might start to subside by tomorrow, but tonight we have a problem with those winds. Alrighty, so we have the evacuation shelter at the Padre Sarah Parish, 5205 Upland Road, Camarillo, California. Large animal evacuation center at the Ventura County Fairgrounds. And we also have the small animal evacuation center, an evacuation center for small animals. You guys, please take a photo. We're going to go back to what's happening here right in this area. Once again, we're going to go ahead and we're going to overlay the actual fire. And look at this. Wow. This is unbelievable. Real. And we're still at over 14,000. This has to have grown. This just looks like it's grown, even from my perspective here. They may not have reported it just yet, but we're seeing, and look at these pockets. Once again, if we remove the contour of just the fire and we just look at our smoke at the surface, look what's happening here. And then we remove that and we just look at our smoke at the vertical, rather higher up, vertically integrated smoke. Look what's happening. Even the islands are being affected. Okay, so it's making all of that smoke is making it over the water and impacting the islands. And now we're even seeing how it's climbing and moving up the coast there, guys. This is a major problem for air quality. I want you all, if you live in this area, if you have friends and family in this area, look at this. Wow. If you do, please do me a favor, make sure they have their masks on. And if they're not required to evacuate, please make sure that they are staying indoors, that they close their windows, okay? And that they're nice and safe. Turn off anything that would impact, that would possibly bring in any air from the outdoors, okay? Now, once again, we're going to go back up in the atmosphere and I want to show you the wind particles because you guys have to know how this is actually functioning here. We go to 850 millibars. Look what happens here. Now I'm going to go to 500 millibars. Now, this is just the middle of the atmosphere. This isn't anything fancy. This isn't like we're going high up in the atmosphere. We're just going to what we consider in meteorology the middle of the atmosphere. Anything below that, 700 millibars, that's kind of closer to the surface. We'll start to think of that in a different light, but 500 millibars is the middle of the atmosphere. Look at these winds. This is so okay. This is actually a really good. I look at that air. Okay, so now we're starting to see what's happening here. How everything is picking up here. Okay, and what's interesting is while we have this is very important, guys. You guys have to think, listen to this very closely. So we have an area of high pressure over the Great Basin, but what we're seeing is that higher up in higher up in the atmosphere, we're actually getting a counterclockwise circulation, which then tells me we're getting a backing wind there. That is what's possibly even adding fuel to that fire. And one thing I do want to tell you guys that apart from the oxygen that we have in the air, when we study physics, when we study atmospheric science, we actually study fluid dynamic. Okay, so you have to realize here that in fluid dynamics, we're talking about what's happening in the overall atmosphere. So now you're seeing the winds with a really strong northerly, northeasterly push absolutely pounding Ventura County and Somis, unfortunately, which is why I'm not surprised that these winds are, that this fire is spreading quickly and absolutely impacting us when it comes to the air quality. This is just so sad right now. Remember, we have an area that you guys can look at right on our map. I want you to take a look at this. Please grab a screenshot. Evacuation shelters for people, for large animals, for small animals. Please keep that in mind. This fire, I just don't see this fire getting contained for quite some time. We're even being impacted along the islands, as I mentioned to you all. So now we're seeing that Santa Rosa Island, we're seeing the Channel Islands National Park. I mean, this is going to be a problem. San Miguel Island, look at the smoke. The surface smoke is making it across the water. Look at this. And this is a surface wind. That's the difference here that you guys, when I show you these things, I like to show you the different levels of the atmosphere because you have to understand, oh, okay, am I being impacted? Well, when I go to my contour, that gives me my vertically integrated smoke, meaning what's happening as we go higher up. Look what's happening. We're still getting impacted by that smoke. But this surface smoke profile right here is absolutely dangerous. It's scary. It's sad. And look at how quickly this fire is spreading. My gosh, prayers, prayers. It's all I can say. Once again, here's a look at our evacuation centers. I did want to post that for you guys. Please take a photo of it, grab a screenshot. Thank you so much for joining me all. And I want to go over a couple items very quickly. Have not got it an update here. We're still at 4,148 acres burned, Ventura County. I just can't, I think it's got to be larger by now, but we're going to take a look at that. We believe that the location it started was Balcom Canyon Road and Bradley Road in Somis, and that was at approximately 8:51 a.m. Yes, okay, we're going to get an update, guys. Stay close. This was last updated at 7:46 p.m. It is still under investigation, and we do have our evacuation orders. Also, wanted to add unincorporated Somis, west to Satakoy Country Club, east to Balcom Canyon Road, south to Highway 118. And I had some, oh, wow. Wow, look at these images. One moment, guys. Let me switch over some of my cameras. Hang on one second. Okay, here we go. Do you guys see this? Wow, this is really sad right now. Okay, I'm sorry, I just switched over to another item. Okay, look at this. This is what, and so this makes sense now. Okay, so do you guys see what I'm saying? This absolutely makes sense. So now what we have here is the look at this the height of the smoke. Okay, so we were talking about vertically integrated smoke, how high it is in the atmosphere. Once again, even though you guys think, or many of us think, that the weather works horizontally, because I say surface, it's not, it's still vertical. I want you to see how high the smoke is going. Look at this image. I believe there was another image down here. Oh, was there? No, I think that was it. That may have been it. But okay, here are evacuation orders. Zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, unincorporated Somis, and the evacuation warning is for Zone 8, an area extended south of South Mountain Road, east of Briggs Road, and west of 12th Street and Bigsby Road. So this is something that I need you all to share with your family and friends. This is a serious situation right now. I do not see the winds dying down anytime soon, and I want you all to understand that this is all due to that area of high pressure over the Great Basin. And then we have that trough that we showed you earlier. Let's go back to it and see if we can show you exactly who the culprits are, what's happening in the atmosphere. Why is this so extreme right now? Well, this is because of the wind profile. This is our surface wind profile. We do have, look at how the wind, do you see how the winds are coming down the canyons? Guys, look right here. Okay, I'm going to zoom on in. I'm zooming in. Okay, can you guys see? I wish could I loop this? This is a really great image right here. Can you guys see how the winds are coming together? Do you see that? Okay, that's what we're talking about when we say the compressional warming, because of the squeezing of the air. So again, that only increases the friction of the air, which then increases the temperature. So that's not just, ooh, these are fast wind speeds. These are hot winds as they squeeze through the canyons. Look at that. They've got to go somewhere. And what's happening is they're coming down the mountain. They're coming down, squeezing through the canyon. I have a really good graphic here. If you'll bear with me just one moment. I was going to post it, but I'll show you guys very quickly. Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay as I show you this here. There's your area of high pressure. We'll get this going. You see what happens here? That air pushes down the mountain and it compresses. It's already warming, right? What is that area of high pressure? It's that area of high pressure over the Great Basin, which is why when I give you guys the forecast, I'm giving it to you across the nation. I just can't give you Southern California because I'm here. I have to give you the entire nation so you can see how the weather works. The desert dries out the air even further, right? And now we're seeing that the winds, as they're coming down, they're squeezing through the canyons. And as they're squeezing, they're warming up because once again, the friction of the air squeezing together is what increases the temperature. So this wind creates really hot, really dry, really dangerous conditions. And this is exactly what we're seeing right now. And this is absolutely heartbreaking. Once again, let me overlay my contour here that I have for fire weather. I'm going to remove my watches and warnings, as we know what's under watches and what's watched right now and what's warned. And look at these pockets here where you're seeing the expansiveness of this fire, okay? And again, once I just talked to you guys about that graphic, look at this right here. Do you see how these winds are converging and they're squeezing together? It's the path of least resistance, right? But they all got to get through. So as it squeezes down, it's no surprise that Somis, Ventura County, is getting this impact right now. So we've already been seeing fire weather concerns for the past several days. We've been seeing those Santa Anas really kick up. But as you take a look at the winds here, this is absolutely fascinating. And look what's happening here. The fire is expanding it's growing. And now you're seeing, not only that, you're actually seeing that the surface smoke is impacting. Wow, it is absolutely impacting San Miguel Island. It's impacting Santa Rosa Island. It's impacting the Channel Islands National Park. I can't tell you that this is going to be taken care of by tonight. I just don't see it because these winds are not going to die down right now. Maybe let me take a look here. You guys give me one moment while I switch over to another product. It's going to be something that I want to share with you guys quickly, but I want to see it on a different map. I'm actually going to a weather product, a numerical model here. I'm just going to look at a short range solution, which is the NAM or the North American model. If you guys just keep it right here, let me zoom on out. Let me add that fire for you, okay? So you guys can actually see the extensive nature of the fire right now, and look at those winds. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so what I want to do here is quickly go over how we might see possibly an improvement. I'm going to go to my winds. I'm just going to go to my 925 millibar wind profile here. They're not going to get better by tonight. They seem to be getting better. Yikes. By later Thursday is what I'm seeing here. Okay. So I just think that we're going to have to wait this out and definitely send our prayers, because we're seeing that these winds are going to be a problem for quite a bit longer. And I want you all to just keep that in mind, because this is something, if you know anybody in this area, you've got to make sure that you let them know that this is going to be a problem. So I don't see these winds dying down until later tomorrow. This is not going to happen. And the reason the winds will finally start to die down is a few reasons. Let me actually go to a different model run here. I'm going to go to our GFS model. I'm going to select the model run 0. I'll go to my 12Z run. Okay, that's what I'm going to do right now, and I'm just going to pick a surface product. Let's see. I'm just going to go to my surface product quickly. I just want to show you guys something really fast so I can get an idea of when I feel these winds are really gonna. Okay, all right, so now we're seeing what's happening over it's really the Great Basin. Okay, now there's also this area that's gonna lift. There's a storm that's gonna impact the Four Corners. It's gonna lift as Rafael, which is currently a category 2 hurricane, moves into the Gulf of Mexico. So I don't see those winds improving until late tomorrow. All right, just so that you are aware that this is going to be a problem for the next several hours. So if you do have family members, friends, and who are emergency rescue management team, who are firefighters, who are police officers, first of all, send them my thanks and my regards. I want them to stay safe. These winds are going to be an issue for quite some time. And once again, I think you all did like the wind particle that I showed you guys. This is one of my favorite graphics because I love to see what's happening, not only here at the surface, but at approximately 5,000 feet, 5,000 feet, because we want to understand how these winds are moving through. Look at this. Look at how violent these winds are as they move down the mountain, in through the canyons, and they just squeeze together. And this is why it's no surprise here, as far as I'm concerned. This is why we're seeing. Look at this. Look at the smoke, the surface smoke. So now you're seeing why, if you are in this area, if you have friends in this area, understand that they're going to be impacted by the smoke. This is going to be a big problem for them. Once again, here is a look at the fire. That's how it's extending and expanding. And I just don't have an update yet. Let's see. The last update was at 7:46 p.m. We're still over 14,000 acres, but I do think this is going to be more. This has to be more. This has to be closer to like 18,000 acres, 18,000 acres right now. And once again, here's a look at our evacuation centers for Padre, Sierra Parish, a large animal evacuation center, and small animal evacuation center. If you bear with me for just one moment, I might be able to show you some other items here. Let's see if I can get to our 2-hour loop without disrupting us too much. I will go back to our fires, but I want to take a look at a couple of items here, because this is me an overall perspective of what's happening across the nation. Hang tight for that. Wind particles as well. They're there. Okay. So let's see here what's going on. Now we know we're going to get another storm diving on down, okay? That's going to come down through the Pacific Northwest. We're also watching this storm system here, okay? Beyond that, we're watching what's happening here with Rafael as he crosses into the Gulf of Mexico. It's all about where he might make landfall or impact. Could be Texas, could be Louisiana. No matter what, I do know right now that Florida, the Florida Keys are going to be impacted by certainly some rough seas as well as wind, right? So that's something we have to watch very closely. But all in all, do you see the conditions happening for the Great Basin, Intermountain West? We're also seeing the West Coast up into the Pacific Northwest and the Four Corners. Do you see here we had that area of high pressure, but right around here, once again, we go right back to the area where the fire is happening in Ventura County, that mountain fire. Do you see we've got the convergence of the winds? Everything is squeezing through here. So we're going to go right back to our map here that has everything we need to know about this fire. This is so important for you all to see because my concern is I don't see those winds dying down tonight. I just don't. So please, if you know somebody who is who's working on this, who's doing their best to help out, volunteers, let them know. Tonight is going to be very dangerous, all right? We've got very strong winds. These winds are not dying down right now. All right, so let's remove once again our watches and warnings and let's show you the fire, okay? The extensive nature of this fire. We're also seeing that the smoke is being carried over the water onto San Miguel Island, Santa Rosa Island, also just impacting the Channel Island National Park. So this is just blowing me away right now. I've been watching this for the past couple of hours and this is growing and I just don't like the way this looks here. Now, I also wanted to show you another item here that I think is pretty important. Organic carbon extinction. If I could just show this to you, you guys might get a little bit of an idea here of what else we could be concerned with. Things like particulate matter. That's sometimes what I get worried about for all of you all out there when we're thinking about what's happening with the with the smoke. So let's see here, near surface smoke. We'll go back to that one moment. Okay, here we go. We should be going back to our near surface smoke. There is our actual fire, and then there's our near surface smoke. Okay, so once again, we still have our winds at our surface about 10 meters. We have our evacuation centers right here, large animal evacuation center, small animal evacuation center, and look at those canyon winds. Unreal. Once again, we'll also take these winds and we'll go higher up in the atmosphere so that you guys can see that I'm not kidding when I tell you these winds are out of control right now. They're ranging between 20 and 40 miles an hour sustained wind speed right now. And I just want to make sure that we are all just being really aware of what's happening for our area. Let's see here. Let's take a look here. Yeah, we've got winds anywhere between about 20 to 30 to 40 miles per hour. Okay, all. So I want you guys to be safe. I would love to stay with you guys to get an update from the Ventura County authorities. It looks like Cal Fire, San Luis Obispo, and Ventura County Fire Departments. And once again, the last update we received was at 7:46 p.m. And this is absolutely heartbreaking. Look at this fire. It is a massive fire right now. We know for sure since 7:46 p.m. local time, it was over 14,000 acres. And now we're seeing that it has increased in size and we're seeing pretty volatile winds here. Okay. They're just, oftentimes with winds, let me explain something to you guys with winds. Okay. Winds like to achieve equilibrium. So when you see these winds and they squeeze through the canyon and they're like compressing, and once again, as they compress, they increase in speed and they also the friction increases. So they start to really become a lot more agitated, if you will. And as the friction increases and as we see that compressional heating increase, we're dealing with really hot, really dry, really fast winds coming down. That's all due to that area of high pressure sitting over the Great Basin, but also because we did have this trough that was absolutely impacting that wind profile. And once again, we're looking at our winds at 850 millibars. We're going to go back down to the surface, but I did want to show you our 500 millibar winds. Look at how impressive this is. So now you're dealing with a wind here that's backing as it goes up in the atmosphere. So very interesting setup here. So meteorologically, you have to understand we're going surface, then we're going higher up. We'll go like, oh, we'll just go to like 700 millibars, 500 millibars, 300 millibars. That's where the jet stream sits. But if we come back down, sometimes we'll say, well, we'll just look at an 850 millibar chart, right? Because that's like 3 to 5,000 feet above sea level. So we'll look at that too. When we think about that, we're saying, look what's happening. I'm going to the surface at 10 meters. Look, okay? You guys are seeing a predominant like northeasterly push, right? Then we'll go to 850, and what's happening? Do you see how the winds are starting to rotate a little bit as you go higher up in the atmosphere? And then look what happens at 500 millibars. These winds are a major problem for this fire. Unfortunately, I just don't see these winds dying down until tomorrow afternoon, evening. So for now, you all have to take the advice and the very important notes that the evacuation orders and evacuation warnings are absolutely sharing with the public. You guys have to understand that we've got our evacuation shelters listed here, and you have to understand that this has to be shared with as many people as you can share it with. Post it on your social media pages, make sure you text it to people, but let people know right here that this is what we're looking at right now, and look at the expansive nature of this, okay? This is very sad right now. I just can't imagine these poor animals, poor people being rescued, the elderly. I'm going to keep an eye out for this. I'm waiting to see if I get another update on the acreage that's been impacted. I still see 14,148 acres. Well, that's it for now. I'm meteorologist Erica Martin with Weather Co-op, where weather meets community. I'll be back in just a few minutes. I do have to go over Hurricane Rafael. We have to talk about Hurricane Rafael. We also have to talk about the fact that we're also looking at right now, believe it or not. I mean, there's so much happening. We're looking at what's happening in the Western Pacific. Okay, so let's see here. Here we go. Here's another product very quickly, and I'm going to hop off and I'll be back. I don't want to, give you too many topics in one here, but I want to get this going for you guys because this is the next project that we're looking at right here. It's another typhoon. Okay, so this is Ying Xing that's going to impact the Philippines. Okay, so now we're looking at a typhoon, and then we're looking at Rafael in the that's going to move into that's crossing into the Gulf of Mexico. So much happening right now at Weather Co-op, where weather meets community. I'm so excited to have so many of you all join me tonight. Thank you so much. I will be back in just a few minutes. It's 8:47 p.m. I will likely be back at approximately 9:15, maybe 9 p.m. I'm waiting for that update to see how many acres have been impacted. As you can see here, once again, I'll leave you with this final image here. We're going to leave you with the fire, and we're also going to leave you with the impact of that smoke, everybody that's being impacted by that smoke, okay? All right. Sending you guys so much love. I hope you guys are all okay. If you have any friends and family, colleagues in the area, once again, these are your evacuation shelters. And look at how the canyon winds are just being a lot more active. I don't see these winds dying down for several hours until tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. But of course, I'll keep you updated in just a few minutes. Once again, I'm certified broadcast meteorologist Erica Martin, Skywarn Storm Spotter, and a Weather Ready Nation ambassador with Weather Co-op, where weather meets community. I'm going to be back, guys, but I'm going to leave this running for you guys for about 15 minutes. I'll get all the information for you guys. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Hurricane Rafael. And we're also going to talk about typhoon that's going to impact, wow,